Hey man, the truth is that every man begins his journey with women in naivety. We're raised on stories that paint women as pure, nurturing, loyal beings who will love us for who we are if we just try hard enough. Movies show us the fairy tale ending, society tells us to put them on pedestals, and our own hearts crave that dream so much that we blindly believe it. We think effort equals love, sacrifice equals loyalty, consistency equals respect, but life doesn't work that way. Sooner or later, every man learns through heartbreak, betrayal, or abandonment that women are not what he thought they were. Not evil, not broken, not stupid, but different, very different. Their love doesn't operate on logic, permanence, or obligation. It flows through emotion, shifting like tides, rewriting reality from one moment to the next. And by the time a man realizes this, he's usually already been cut deep by the illusion. What men eventually learn too late is that women don't fall in love with you. They fall in love with the way you make them feel. That's why she can whisper, "I love you forever" one night, then wake up weeks later and say, "I don't feel the same anymore." To you, love is a decision, a commitment, something sacred. To her, love is an experience, a vibe, a temporary high. And once that high fades, once the butterflies quiet down, once reality seeps in, she starts searching for that feeling again, whether in you or in someone else. Men learn this only after they've invested everything. Time, money, loyalty, energy, believing love was permanent, then suddenly she's gone. And it's not because she lied, but because her emotions changed. That's the brutal reality men discover too late. Feelings are her truth, and when her feelings shift, so does her loyalty. Another hard lesson every man learns too late is this: loyalty means something completely different to women. Men define loyalty as standing firm through good and bad, staying when it's uncomfortable, fighting through storms. Women, however, define loyalty in emotional terms. I'm loyal as long as I feel fulfilled, as long as my needs are met, as long as I'm happy here. That's why so many men are blindsided after years in a relationship, thinking, she'd never betray me, she's too loyal. Then one day, she's gone into another man's arms, rewriting the narrative, convincing herself she wasn't happy for a long time. What she called loyalty was never loyalty. It was conditional attachment, disguised as devotion. Men don't learn this until after they've given everything, until after they've bled for the relationship, until after they've built her world. By the time they see it, they've already lost everything they thought loyalty meant. Perhaps the most devastating truth men learn too late is that women don't leave when you're weak. They leave when you need them most. When you fall, when you struggle, when you hit a rough season, you expect the woman who promised through thick and thin to stand by your side. But this is the moment most women disappear. Not all, but many. Why? Because your struggle disrupts the fantasy. She doesn't want to see you as vulnerable. She doesn't want to carry the weight of loyalty when her emotions no longer feel good. She wants the strength, the certainty, the stability. And when you can't provide it, she interprets it as a betrayal of her needs. That's why men learn too late that a woman's loyalty is rarely tested when things are good. It's tested when life turns against you. And more often than not, that's when men discover she was never truly built for the storm. And here's the lesson that hits men hardest. Women live in contradictions, and those contradictions are not mistakes, they're their nature. She'll say she wants a sensitive man, then run to the one who's cold and detached. She'll claim she craves stability, then chase chaos the second life gets too predictable. She'll beg for your attention, then pull away when you give too much. And men spend years, sometimes decades, trying to decode these contradictions, thinking if they just understand her better, they'll finally get it right. But brother, you'll never logic your way into consistency with women, because her world isn't built on logic, it's built on emotions. Every man eventually learns this, but usually after he's exhausted, broken, or betrayed. And that's why it feels too late. Because the lesson is clear. The more you try to make sense of contradictions, the more you lose yourself inside of them. Another lesson men always learn too late is that forever in a woman's mouth doesn't mean what you think it does. When a man says forever, he means permanence. Through pain, through change, through struggle, through storms. When a woman says forever, she means for as long as I feel this way. And because her reality is rooted in feelings, forever can be days, months, or years, but rarely a lifetime. That's why so many men are left shattered when the woman who once cried, "I could never live without you," suddenly vanishes without hesitation. It's not that she lied, it's that her truth was temporary. and by the time you realize this, you've already spent years building castles on sand, only to watch them collapse the moment her feelings shifted. The truth is brutal. Forever is not a promise from her. It's a description of her current emotions, and when you finally see this, it's often after she's already gone. Men also learn too late that women are masters of performance. She can play the part of the perfect partner for as long as it serves her. She'll cook for you, speak sweet words, show affection, and act devoted. But this performance is tied to her emotions, not her commitment. When her emotions are high, she's all in. When they fade, the performance fades with them. And yet, brother, this is where men destroy themselves. They confuse performance with devotion. They think consistency in action guarantees consistency in intention, but women can maintain performance for months or even years, even when her heart has already left. That's why men are often blindsided when she exits, because all the signals looked like loyalty until they didn't. The lesson hits hard. Never assume performance equals permanence. Devotion can only be proven by what she does when it no longer benefits her to stay. Another truth men learn too late is that women thrive on attention the way men thrive on respect. A man who feels disrespected in his own home will eventually walk away, even if love still exists. In the same way, a woman who doesn't feel admired or desired will begin searching for validation elsewhere, even if she's still in a relationship. That doesn't mean she doesn't love you in moments. It means her loyalty is tethered to a constant supply of emotional fuel. And here's the danger. Most men think stability and consistency are enough to keep her happy. But brother, women grow restless with consistency. If your attention doesn't excite her anymore, she will start craving it from the outside world. And the lesson you eventually learn, always too late, is that loyalty without attention doesn't exist in her reality. Her loyalty follows her emotions, and her emotions follow her sense of desirability. Every man also learns too late that women rarely walk away when they first detach. They leave long after they've already left emotionally. This is why her exit feels so sudden, so cold, so heartless. But in reality, she's been gone for months. She's been emotionally withdrawing while still acting present, still sleeping beside you, still saying I love you, still maintaining the mask. Because she's securing her exit, she's building her justification. She's waiting until she can rewrite the story in her head, so that when she finally leaves, she feels righteous. By the time you notice the distance, she's already packed her heart away. And this is why men always say, she changed overnight. No, brother, she didn't change overnight. You just didn't see her leaving in slow motion, and you only realize this truth too late, when she's already in someone else's arms. And here's the lesson that cuts deepest. Women can love you today and forget you tomorrow, not because they're evil, but because their world is built on feeling, not memory. Men carry love like a scar. It stays long after the wound has closed. Women carry love like a flame. It burns bright, but dies out once the fuel is gone. That's why she can look into your eyes one month and call you her everything, then look into another man's eyes the next month and mean the exact same words, and you'll be left questioning if anything she said was real. But it was real to her in that moment. The problem is, men mistake emotional reality for eternal reality. We think love is fixed, unchanging, but women teach us, always too late, that love for them is fluid, conditional, tied to the moment. And once you've lived through it, brother, you'll never hear I love you the same way again. Another lesson men eventually learn, always too late, is that women never stop testing you. From the first day you meet her to the last day you see her, she is quietly measuring your strength, your resolve, and your ability to stand firm in your frame. At first, you think the tests are small, teasing comments, little challenges, subtle pushes against your boundaries. You laugh them off, you tolerate them because you think it's harmless. But the more you bend, the more she escalates, until one day, you wake up in a relationship where you no longer recognize yourself, constantly apologizing, constantly justifying, constantly bending to avoid conflict. And by then it's too late. She's lost respect for you. Because here's the truth, women don't test you because they want you to fail. They test you because they want to know if you'll hold your ground. Fail enough times, and she no longer sees a man, she sees a follower, and no woman stays loyal to the man she cannot respect. What men also learn too late is that women are far more attracted to strength than to comfort. Early in life, we're told to be nice, to treat her like a queen, to give her everything, and so we do. We shower her with attention, we bend over backwards, we sacrifice ourselves to make her feel adored. And at first she loves it, because who wouldn't? But as time passes, the very things you thought would secure her only suffocate her. She gets bored, restless, even resentful. Why? Because women don't crave comfort as much as they crave challenge. They don't respect men who center their lives around pleasing them. They respect men who stand firm in their mission, who offer love without sacrificing their backbone, who can give affection but never abandon self-respect. And every man learns this truth only after being discarded by the very woman he tried to protect with endless comfort. Too late, he realizes, strength inspires loyalty, comfort kills it. Another harsh truth that men discover too late is that desperation destroys attraction instantly. You think showing her how badly you want her will prove your devotion. You think calling more, texting more, chasing harder will make her feel secure. But all it does is remind her that you've placed her above yourself. And women may enjoy being desired, but they do not respect being worshipped. Respect dies the second she feels you need her more than she needs you. And that's why so many men are left devastated after a breakup. They begged, pleaded, and chased, only to find that every act of desperation pushed her further away. Only after she's gone do they realize that what might have saved them wasn't chasing more, but pulling back completely. And the lesson sinks in, only when it's too late. The man who acts desperate loses her faster than the man who acts indifferent. Every man eventually learns, too late, that women are drawn to men who can walk away. It sounds cruel, it sounds cold, but it's reality. The man who has options, who has standards, who has no fear of being alone, that man radiates the strength that women secretly crave. Meanwhile, the man who clings, who fears abandonment, who bends over backward to keep her, becomes invisible to her respect. And yet most men don't realize this until after they've lost everything. They give years of loyalty, years of sacrifice, years of chasing, only to be abandoned for the man who barely gave her half as much, but who never chased, never begged, never wavered. And only then do men finally see the truth. Women don't value what they own completely. They value what they can lose. By the time this truth sinks in, the damage is done. Too late, the lesson is learned. And here's the truth that men learn at the cost of their sanity. The love you think she has for you isn't about who you are, it's about who you are to her in that moment. That's why the same woman who once adored you can suddenly despise you, not because you changed, but because her perception did. Women live in a fluid emotional reality, and their feelings towards you shift with it. If you make her feel safe, desired, and inspired, she'll love you passionately. But the moment you falter, the moment her emotions dip, the love you thought was eternal can vanish like smoke. Men only see this after being blindsided, after hearing, "I just don't feel the same anymore," and it's then they realize her love wasn't anchored in logic, it was anchored in feeling, and feelings by nature change. That's the truth. Men eventually learn, but by the time they do, it's almost always too late. One of the most sobering truths men learn too late is that women don't actually want to be fully understood. Men waste years of their lives analyzing every word, every silence, every mood shift, trying to figure her out as if the right explanation will unlock her heart forever. But here's the reality. Women themselves don't fully understand their own emotions, and many times they aren't even consistent with themselves from one day to the next. When you try to understand her too deeply, she loses respect because she sees a man bending his mind around her contradictions instead of standing firm in his own clarity. She doesn't want a man who figures her out. She wants a man she can't figure out, because mystery and strength inspire her, while predictability and constant attempts at emotional decoding suffocate her. Men only learn this after they've exhausted themselves in endless deep talks and therapy-like conversations and still get left behind. Too late, they realize she respects the man who remains grounded in himself, not the man who tries endlessly to decode her. Another brutal reality that men realize too late is that women rewrite history based on how they feel in the present. The same relationship she once called the happiest time of my life can suddenly become toxic or unhealthy when she no longer feels the same. The sacrifices you made, the memories you built, the promises she made, all of it can be reframed depending on her current emotions. And brother, this is why so many men walk away confused, wondering how the story they lived in together turned into a completely different narrative in her retelling. To her, it isn't lying, it's emotional truth. She believes it in the moment, even if it contradicts what she said a year ago. Men don't learn this until they're painted as the villain in a story where they once thought they were the hero. and by the time they realize her truth changes with her feelings, their reputation, peace, and trust are already destroyed. Men also learn far too late that women don't fall for potential the way we think. We believe that if we show her where we're headed, if we promise her the empire we're building, if we lay out the vision of what we're becoming, she'll wait and support us through the journey. But women rarely respect potential alone. They respect the man who already embodies results, or at least the man who carries himself as if results are inevitable. She may listen to your dreams, nod at your plans, and encourage your ambitions, but if she doesn't feel your strength and conviction in the present, her loyalty won't last. That's why so many men get abandoned mid-journey, left behind by women who couldn't endure the grind. And ironically, once the man makes it, those same women often circle back, claiming they always believed in him. Men only realize this too late. Women aren't attracted to the promise of a future. They're attracted to the power of a man, living as though it's already his. Another truth that arrives too late for most men is that women don't respect endless forgiveness. Men think that constantly giving second chances proves love, but in reality, it proves weakness. Every time you excuse her disrespect, every time you overlook her betrayal, every time you tolerate her chaos in the name of patience, you teach her one thing: your standards are negotiable. And brother, women don't love what they don't respect. She might enjoy the freedom of being forgiven endlessly, but she won't admire you for it. She'll resent you because you've shown her that her actions don't have consequences. And no woman feels safe with a man who refuses to enforce consequences. Men usually only see this after years of tolerating bad behavior, wondering why she treats them worse despite all their forgiveness. The truth is brutal. Forgiveness without boundaries isn't noble, it's self-destruction. And by the time most men realize this, their respect is already gone, and so is she. Here's one of the most important truths men learn too late: peace matters more than her presence. Early in life, we cling to women, convinced that love is worth any amount of drama, any amount of conflict, any amount of chaos. But after enough heartbreaks, after enough sleepless nights, after enough betrayals, men finally realize that no woman is worth sacrificing inner peace for. You can rebuild money, you can rebuild status, you can even rebuild trust in yourself. But once you lose your peace, you lose everything. And the sad reality is that most men only discover this after years of carrying women who drained them, after building relationships that constantly broke them down, after staying far longer than they should have. Only then do they realize that the greatest gift a man can give himself is the courage to walk away from anything that costs him his peace. But by the time they learn it, they've already spent years in chains they never needed to wear. Another painful truth every man learns always too late is that attraction cannot be negotiated. You can't buy it with gifts, you can't force it with kindness, and you can't beg it into existence with endless devotion. If she doesn't feel it, she doesn't feel it. And yet men waste years trying to prove their worth to women who have already emotionally checked out, thinking loyalty, effort, or sacrifice will somehow spark desire. But attraction doesn't work that way. A woman's respect and desire come when she senses strength, detachment, and purpose, not when she sees a man bending over backwards for her. The bitter lesson men eventually learn is that you can't convince her to want you. Either she respects you for who you are, or she never truly does. And by the time men finally embrace this truth, they've often wasted their best years trying to sell themselves to someone who is never buying. Another truth men discover too late is that women are loyal to their feelings first, not to you, not to the relationship, not even to their promises. When her emotions shift, her loyalty shifts with them. This is why a woman can swear she'll never leave, then vanish once her heart no longer feels the spark. To you, that feels like betrayal. To her, it feels like honesty. Because in her mind, if the feeling is gone, so is the truth. And brother, men don't realize this until after they've been discarded, like yesterday's memory, after they've sacrificed everything in the name of forever. Only then do they learn the hard lesson. Women follow their emotions the way men follow logic. And if you build your life expecting her emotions to be permanent, you're building your foundation on shifting sand. But by the time most men see it, the house has already collapsed. Every man eventually learns too late that women don't love unconditionally. Men grow up with the fantasy that if they're good enough, loyal enough, strong enough, they'll find a woman who loves them, no matter what. But women's love is always conditional. Conditional on how you make her feel. Conditional on whether you can protect her. Conditional on whether you maintain your frame, your strength, and your mission. The moment those conditions are broken, her love weakens. And though she may still care, she no longer respects you. This truth devastates men who discover it after years of believing otherwise. They look back on every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every desperate attempt to prove themselves, and they realize it was all for a love that was never unconditional. The harsh reality is this: only a mother's love is unconditional. Romantic love is conditional, always, and most men don't see it until the dream has already cost them everything. One of the final lessons men learn, usually after immense heartbreak, is that self-respect must always come before her love. When you prioritize her above yourself, when you allow her emotions to dictate your value, when you bend your standards to keep her close, you destroy the very foundation of your manhood. And women will never respect a man who doesn't respect himself. She may use you, she may tolerate you, she may even stay with you, but she will not admire you. And without admiration, there is no real love. Men only realize this after losing themselves in relationships where they gave everything and got nothing back. And it's then, often too late, that they discover the one truth that could have saved them from years of suffering. Never put her above yourself, because the moment you do, you've already lost both her respect and your own. So here's the ultimate truth, the truth every man learns but almost always too late. Women are not the center of your world. Your mission, your vision, your self-respect, that is your world. Women can join it, enhance it, and complement it, but they can never be the foundation of it. The men who learn this early live with strength, clarity, and peace. The men who learn it late spend years broken, confused, and betrayed before they finally rebuild. But either way, the lesson arrives. Because life has a way of teaching men the hard truths about women until they either crumble or rise. And once you rise, once you finally embrace that her love is fleeting, but your purpose is permanent, no woman can ever break you again. That's the point, brother. You're not here to change her, chase her, or prove yourself to her. You're here to master yourself, and when you do, you'll never learn these lessons too late again.